That's why companies say that they're doing these things, but it's becoming increasingly invasive. And so when
Yeah.
you think about there's the computer vision of always being watched by some system, the privacy implications of where that data is flowing and where it might wind up in the future if there's third-party data sharing agreements in place. Because a lot of times the
Mhm.
employers, they don't fully even know what the agreements are from the vendor in terms of using
Um,
that data for further reuse. So there's a whole chain going on here. But I think the bigger issue for me is when it comes down to your workforce, how are you going to create a culture of trust? And generally speaking, the more surveillance that you have, the less of a culture of trust you're actually building. And I think that's
Interesting.
something we should really think about really carefully. Like, yes, we have the capacity to monitor all kinds of things and think we know, who's productive or who's efficient, et cetera. But we're also diminishing trust. So there's that piece of it. And then the last piece I'll say is that it's not so easy to measure these very abstract concepts like efficiency and productivity. We do our best to put in place proxy measurements for those things, but it's not always that. Ideally, I think what most of us are trying to do is figure out how not to be that. And it's challenging. It really is, because it sort of depends on what aspects of the technology are most automatable at this moment. And right
Mhm.
now, a lot of that looks like generating content. So you have a lot of angst in the creative sectors, in writing and that sort of sector
Yeah.
because of the way these tools are advancing.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. And what I'm thinking about as well is that, I've seen it in my workplace and I'm sure other people are experiencing as well where, you know, as a lot of CPAs are very creative as well in terms of automating workflows. So I'm sure that a lot of CPAs on this podcast, as well as the ones that are going to listen to it, are going to be able to automate some of their work. Now, the question comes when ethically, if someone's automating their work, when should they really inform their managers, or should they even inform their managers
Been
at
going on for
all, Katrina?
decades now. I think when I think about some of the impacts that we're talking about when it comes to I think about AI coming along at a moment where we've already had a bunch of things happen and it just accelerates the trend. And so I think that's really part of what is disturbing about this moment is we've kind of been on this you're on your own moment for a while now. And now with AI being able to automate a lot more things, we're going to be kind of in that area with more and more people, let's say, impacted.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just setting up the background in terms of like ethically, what is your some marketers are kind of putting everything under that umbrella term of AI because it's a hot thing to do right now. So yeah.
No, that's really good. And we've had podcasts in the past before. There's one company called MindBridge, another one that was AI for auditing companies, and I think they were taken over by KPMG in Canada. They're both Canadian companies, and it's amazing to see like the technology, what it can do to help automate a lot of the entry level tasks that are kind of repetitive. And like you mentioned, that these tools can use machine learning and a whole bunch of data to kind of train the AI for their specific goals.